Hi, this is Chuck Oliver. Welcome to this week's Hidden Wealth Solution Review. Well, I'm excited to teach you the top things you can do to de-risk your retirement. And this is becoming, in particular, very, very important when you look around at the fact that the Fed came out this week and said, well, we're probably not going to need to raise rates, etc. But that's coming off of explosive inflation numbers coming off what's called the Consumer Price Index as well as the Producer Price Index that are hitting records almost on a monthly basis, folks. So things, as many of us are clearly aware of, are going straight up in price, from real estate regarding lumber, as I've talked about, being up 400% just in 12 months, used cars up 21%, and then just go to the grocery, right? And I love how our Fed says, well, there's really no inflation. Well, folks, inflation has an impact in many ways. In particular, obviously, the cost of goods and services to you and I as we live and as we retire. But that impact obviously hits the stock market. And right now, it's overheated at an all-time high, right? So when we looked at price to earning ratios, we're way beyond that actual ratio where we were the prior time that the market basically did a major correction, as we all recall, in 2001 and 2 and 2008 and 9. Well, here's the good news. You can de-risk your retirement. I want to talk to you about kind of three key things. I put a very short, easy to read article. I had the opportunity to spend some time with the private equity firm that we work with that can help you de-risk your retirement with the focus on not only higher targeted returns with a history of averaging, as you'll read in this article, which was an interesting study by UBS, that the private equity versus the public equity markets on average averaged greater than 3% higher annual compounded return. But actually, a Morningstar report teaches how that's done with less risk. So de-risk retirement by lowering your risk, increasing your returns. And here's the catalyst: removing taxes. So one of the things I talk about at Hidden Wealth Radio this weekend is having an interview with one of the private equity programs we use in the energy independence space that provides up to a 100% tax deduction. Now, many of you have reached out and said, look, Chuck, I hear you talk about how to use a tax deduction in the code to offset converting IRAs to Roths. Well, folks, that's exactly what we talk about in Hidden Wealth Radio this weekend. All of our radio shows are archived at hiddenwealthradio.com. So I'm going to see if I can't put a link to that actual recording as well as this article. But here's what you can do. Go to retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com. And besides using a deduction that offsets the tax of a Roth conversion, which is huge when we think about where tax rates are going, but on top of the fact, it's not just for the tax deduction, but getting pretty much a target, as you'll hear in this interview, a targeted return of approximately 12 to 18%. And they've hit that in every fund. But also with the fact that it lowers risk. It has no direct stock market correlation. As we refer our clients to these fund opportunities, these are very limited. And so many of you have said, wow, this is great. You guys have a reach that we can't even get, let's say, in the public market. And these are institutionally managed private equity funds, folks, that have really helped clients not just reduce tax, but increase returns and mitigate risk. And right now, I think those are the key things we can do to de-risk our retirement. Now, I'll teach at retirementprotected.com this and a few other strategies, but the key is to set a time that you can think about your own thinking in what we call a hidden wealth discovery interview meeting. So that's where you can request a meeting and learn how to discover and uncover your hidden wealth by lowering risk, increasing returns, mitigating or reducing or eliminating taxes. And the time to get that done, folks, is in 2021. Look, you've worked hard for your money. I could go on from number of you that have reached out and have learned how to offset 200, 300, 400, 500, million and a half of IRA to Roth, zero tax, but at the same time getting better returns, taking less risk. Imagine more time, more money, less stress, less tax, more return with less risk. Retirementprotected.com, retirementprotected.com.